I've always believed that the future of humanity depends on expanding access to knowledge. And when I look at the world today, I see extraordinary potential sitting untapped in classrooms everywhere. Which is why when the opportunity emerged to partner with El Salvador to bring XAI's Grok into more than 5,000 public schools, it felt like a natural step in the mission to democratize intelligence. Because education shouldn't be limited by geography or resources. It should be this universal accelerator that pushes every human being forward. And I've spent most of my life building things that scale: rockets, cars, satellites, AI systems. And every time I look at a new frontier, I ask myself, how do we make this accessible to everyone, not just a select few? So when President Bukele and his team started discussing how we could redefine learning for over 1 million students, the vision clicked instantly because Grok was built to be curious, fast, irreverent in a productive way, and capable of giving students the kind of dynamic, real-time help that traditional systems struggle to provide. And I imagined a kid in a rural school, maybe someone who's never had access to advanced tutors, suddenly able to ask complex questions about physics or history or coding and get instantly guided toward deeper understanding. And that idea genuinely excites me because talent is evenly distributed across the world, but opportunity isn't. And AI, done responsibly, transparently, and with a focus on empowerment, can flatten that gap dramatically. So we started designing a deployment plan that wasn't just about dropping a chatbot into classrooms, but about building an entire ecosystem where teachers could use Grok as a co-pilot, students could explore topics beyond their curriculum, and the country itself could cultivate a new generation fluent in AI literacy. And as we worked through the logistics, I couldn't help thinking back to my own childhood, sitting in front of a computer in South Africa, obsessively exploring anything I could learn, and how transformative that access was for me. So, if this partnership gives even a fraction of that spark to 1 million young minds, then it's worth every ounce of effort. Because when you amplify curiosity at scale, the outcomes are unpredictable in the best possible way. And maybe some of these students will be the engineers who solve climate change, or the scientists who cure diseases, or the innovators who build entirely new technologies we can't even imagine yet. And that's really the point, because the future isn't built by a handful of people in Silicon Valley. It's built by the next billion thinkers coming online, discovering their capabilities, and pushing humanity forward. And I see El Salvador not just as a pilot program, but as the beginning of a global shift where nations can leapfrog educational barriers using AI, creating environments where learning becomes individualized, exploratory, and limitless. And of course, there will be challenges and adjustments, because whenever you deploy new technology at massive scale, you encounter unexpected variables, but that's part of engineering. Iterate, improve, optimize. So as Grok enters these classrooms, my hope is simple: that students feel empowered to question everything, to push boundaries, to challenge assumptions, because curiosity is the engine of progress. And if we can ignite that engine in over 1 million young minds, then we're doing something meaningful, not just for El Salvador, but for humanity's long-term trajectory. And in the end, that's what drives me every single day: the belief that with enough intelligence, creativity, and courage, we can build a future far greater than the present. And partnerships like this are stepping stones toward that horizon. when we started rolling out the early pilot demonstrations inside a handful of schools. I remember watching the students interact with Grok for the first time, and there was this moment, this spark, where you could just see their mental gears turning faster, like someone had suddenly handed them the keys to a much bigger universe. And honestly, that's one of the most rewarding things I've ever seen, because it reminded me so much of what I felt discovering the internet and early computing as a kid. Like this invitation to explore without boundaries. And I kept thinking about how so many educational systems around the world still rely on rote memorization, outdated textbooks, and limited teacher resources, not because the teachers lack passion, but because they're stretched thin, trying to give every student the attention they deserve, which is nearly impossible without some form of augmentation. And this is exactly where AI becomes transformative, because Grok can answer the niche questions, the weird questions, the complicated questions that kids are often too shy or too embarrassed to ask out loud. And it can do it with patience and consistency. And while that's happening, teachers get to spend more time on the things humans are uniquely good at: mentorship, creativity, emotional support, helping students build confidence. And as we saw this symbiosis unfold, it reinforced something I've believed for a long time. Technology doesn't replace people, it amplifies them. And in education, that shift is monumental, because when you amplify a teacher, you amplify thousands of futures simultaneously. And as the data from the El Salvador integration started coming in, showing increased engagement and longer voluntary study sessions, it became obvious that students weren't just using Grok as a tool, but as a companion in their learning journey. Asking it for help with math, practicing English, testing themselves with custom quizzes, even exploring careers they didn't know existed. And this is where I really felt the long-term impact, because when you empower kids with curiosity and agency, you're not just teaching them facts, you're teaching them how to think. And thinking is humanity's ultimate leverage point. So I began to imagine what this would look like once we scale it to the full 5,000 schools and then beyond. Maybe to other countries that also want to leap forward instead of waiting for incremental change. And it made me realize that this partnership is more than a deployment. It's a template for global educational transformation, built on the idea that every country, no matter its size or resources, should have access to the frontier of intelligence. And another thing that really stood out to me during this rollout was the parents, because many of them weren't familiar with AI at all. But once they saw how their kids were learning faster, becoming more confident, coming home excited to explain something new they discovered, they started embracing the system too, asking questions, exploring Grok themselves. And suddenly, education became a family-wide phenomenon, which is something I didn't fully anticipate, but I'm very glad is happening. Because the more people engage with AI, the more empowered they become. And empowerment is the foundation of a thriving society, especially in a world that's accelerating at a pace humanity has never seen before. So as I continue working with the government and the schools, refining the infrastructure, expanding training programs for teachers, optimizing latency with Starlink connectivity, I keep thinking about the long game, about the child who might be sitting in a classroom right now, in San Miguel or Santa Ana or San Salvador, typing their first question into Grok maybe unsure of what to ask, and then discovering something that changes the trajectory of their entire life. Because sometimes all it takes is one answer, one idea, one spark to shift someone from "I can't do this" to "I want to build something incredible." And if this initiative can generate even a fraction of those moments, then it's not just a technological rollout, it's a generational catalyst. And honestly, that's what motivates me every day, to build tools that help humanity unlock its potential, because our species is capable of so much more than we currently realize. And education is the foundation of that potential. So this partnership with El Salvador is not the end but the beginning, the prototype for a world where intelligence is abundant, curiosity is limitless, and the future is something every kid gets to shape, no matter where they are born. As we push further into this initiative, I keep thinking about the broader implications, because when you introduce AI into an entire national education system, you're not just updating a curriculum, you're rewiring how a generation thinks, learns, questions, and creates. And that's a monumental responsibility, one I take very seriously, because every technological shift I've been part of, electric vehicles, reusable rockets, global satellite internet, has taught me that real progress isn't about the technology itself, but about how people use it to expand their own capabilities. And in El Salvador, something powerful is already happening. You can feel it when you walk into the classrooms, hear the students debating ideas with a level of confidence they didn't have before. And you realize they're starting to see knowledge not as something handed to them, but as something they can navigate and shape on their own. And that shift is massive, because once a student realizes they can teach themselves anything, that student becomes unstoppable. And I've always believed that self-driven learning is one of the greatest competitive advantages a person can have, not just in careers, but in life. And watching that culture grow in a country that's embracing innovation at full speed is honestly inspiring. So when I talk to educators and leaders who are helping build this system,